Welcome to the BGBG podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Logan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Brandon. Today, these board geeks are going to be unboxing the allure of solo board games.
And today we do have a very special guest with us, if they would like to introduce themselves.
Hey, I'm Ari.
Before we venture into our main discussion, let's spotlight a game that's been a titan in the solo play arena. Right now, we're going to talk about Terraforming Mars.
Oh, we've talked about this one,
Yes,
Ryan.
it's got lots of expansions, but at a base game, it's really great. So you're going to, as the name implies, terraform Mars, and it works off of a card like deck system,
Right.
With about 7 different types of resources. And when you look at a top down of someone playing the game, it looks very complex.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There's a lot going on, kind of thing.
Yeah,
There's
but-
7 different resources.
Yeah,
I
there's
can
7
already-
different
already
resources.
tell, yeah.
But what's going to happen is it's going to be very intuitive. Like if you want a habitat of some kind, maybe you want to start raising livestock, you provide it green, right? Trees. You provide it grass, stuff like that. If you want to build a mine, you provide it minerals. It just makes sense. And what's going to happen is it's a machine building game. It's an engine. And the more cards you get, you're going to have synergies between those cards. They're going to further improve on your resource gathering. So I would say it's kind of difficult to pick up, but once you know it, it plays smooth.
I mean, I've only ever played it as the digital version on Steam, which is very easy to pick up because you're given the options in the game
And it
of what
does
you can and
everything
can't
for
do.
you.
It tells you, gives you the
Right.
player hints, all that stuff. And it's all kind of automated, so there's not much you really have to work on yourself.
It's one of those we've talked about a lot. I've yet to actually still play the game.
I'll have to show you at my house.
Yeah, because I know we talked about it. Just
Q at the game store, he
Yeah.
owns it and all the expansions.
he's got everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I own it digitally, much like Logan.
Right.
It is an expensive game.
Yeah, especially if you're going to buy all the expansions. On Steam, it's not too bad.
Base game on Steam, I think, is 40, 50.
I want to say it's
usually
40.
on sale.
Yeah.
Okay.
The base game IRL is like 70.
Plus $40
Your
for
typical,
expansion.
your typical kind of like board game thing.
Yeah.
That's my games, I feel like.
Yeah, it is. But the digital version, like Logan said, it's a great way to get in. One, you can play with your friends anywhere. You don't have to like set it up or anything. It's gotten a lot better than when I first bought it because I bought it. I was an early adopter. Very buggy. Some of the cards would like just fundamentally break or they would just not work. They've patched a lot of that out, and they've gotten to the point where now they're starting to release the expansions on the digital version.
Okay, so they're catching up with the physical releases.
Right, and so those are sold separately. They're not free to the purchase, but you are starting to get closer to the real world experience. It's just it's a great game. It's got a solo mode where it's going to manage a bunch of AI for you, and they're all going to take actions to compete against you.
Okay.
But generally, can be played either way, and you'll still have the full experience.
Yeah, from what I've played, it's a great game. I really enjoy it, but I definitely do think it is more fun as a multiplayer game. So with that, let's get into some great games that we either made specifically for or just run great as solo player games.
If I can start, I have a passion project of mine. I love it to death. I bought it when it was still on Kickstarter, if I remember correctly, and it's a game called Wingspan. So what this person did, the creator, they were a avid bird watcher as a hobby, where you go take binoculars, maybe some books to journal down incidents. And they wanted to share that hobby with other people in an accessible way. And they chose to work with a board game company to make a board game version of what it would be like to bird watch. And they went through, it's a card-based system, and you're going to find birds, and it's got great art. It's got facts. It's got like facts about those types of birds.
It's got great eggs.
I was gonna say it's got
very delectable.
it's very high on Logan's edible scale.
I feel like we shouldn't go back into this.
No, it's very important. They're very delectable. They look like Easter eggs.
Yeah, we've said it before. It's the Easter candy, like the chocolate or the gummy or whatever eggs on Easter. They look just like those. Pastel colors, soft.
Eat them.
Another game. It does have a digital version too.
Yes, it does, and
It
that
runs
one-
really well.
And now 2 base game versions. One American, one is the Asian version. It's a separate base game now.
So you can just buy the Asian.
Oh,
as well as an Australia and a European bird expansion.
the expansions.
Yeah.
So can you
expansions than I thought.
Can you play the Asian version with the American, or is it because they're both base
I've
games?
never
They're not.
had both at the same time.
Gotcha.
played
And then
together.
I didn't know the Asian one existed, so
Yeah,
I can't
that's
answer
new-
that question.
that's
for you.
new-
I
that's new to me.
imagine it's cross compatible. It just has more. I imagine what's happening there is that the Asian one has the base game components as well.
Right.
So if you had all the sets, you would probably have a double up.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's just that people, if they want just the Asian birds, they can start
Or
with the
with
Asian
just
birds.
the-
They don't have to have wingspan plus
'Cause-
birds they want.
I'm an expansion fiend. I love expansions. So I'm like, oh, you're telling me there's another King of Tokyo's
add.
doing this to me
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
and I'm like so upset.
You're very close to having it all, though.
No, I'm not, because they're releasing another version of the game.
Okay, that means that you're just not buying fast enough. Open your wallet, do it quicker.
And then I found out about promo monsters. I'm like, no, I'll just find the promo monsters I like. I'm not collecting all like 32 they've released.
You can get them on eBay.
Sounds like a fake fan.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
guys. Listen, they're $40 a piece. I'm buying America, which is it's an American Eagle wearing an Uncle
Buying
Sam.
all of America.
It's wearing an Uncle Sam outfit. I'm like, I'm buying that one, and
That one's gonna be a hit.
that one's pretty
So
fun.
instead of eating, just buy the expansion.
Right,
I don't
yeah.
see the issue here.
Yeah.
That expansion costs 10 Tombstone pizzas.
You tend-
Current
Ryan's scale of
economy.
measuring is the game's cost in Tombstone pizzas that he's missing out on.
But
Well,
yeah,
yeah, it's a good equivalent exchange, right? So, like, if I'm gonna have a meal, that's 10 meals I could have, depending on how much pizza you're eating. I eat a lot of pizza, so that's 10
I
meals.
don't know that I've ever had like a Tombstone pizza.
They're okay, not sponsored.
I like them because they're not in a box.
Yes.
They don't take up as much space in your freezer
That's fair.
because you're like pizza boxes. It's a round pizza in a square box. There's corners that are taking up space. Tombstones, among other brands, that just wrap them. It's like I can just throw those in and roll them out. And
but so Wingspan, great solo. It does have a digital.
yes,
Yep. I think it's called Auto Mecana is the single player
Yeah.
mode.
Yep.
And I play it all the time at
Yep.
my house.
Oh, yeah,
because I love Wingspan, but it's one of those games that like it's not very thrill seeking. It's not
you clearly don't love birds enough.
well, yeah, clearly.
I'm really excited about the
You
birds.
don't hinder your opponents.
Yeah.
You're all just working to do better. And
It's-
so that's one of those things that's like really lax. You're not making any enemies. You're just having fun.
It's a fun little like just sit down play
It's a
game.
collection game of government spies.
I don't think pigeons are in. Well, they have
Oh,
to
the
be,
phrase
right?
is
Yeah,
the
there's
birds
like-
work for the bourgeoisie.
I don't even know what.
There's
place they're in
another one
Russia.
here that I haven't played. I haven't played the physical version of, but I played the digital version. Gloomhaven.
Oh, okay. I've heard of
Which
that.
is D&D esque.
Yes, it's
Describe
the-
it to me.
So what you do is you pick a like character, and then you're going into dungeons, and there's like what are they called?
It's a
Events.
mansion, isn't it?
Well, there depends because the online version or not the online version, the digital version I was playing, it sends you into like a bandit encampment. Like it's
Okay.
like
An abandoned.
yeah. That's what I was thinking. Don't worry,
They got some scragglers.
some scragglers. But you choose that you build, you buy, you're given like so many cards, and then you build your deck from those cards.
okay. Is it class based? So like, do different classes have?
Yeah, different.
decks?
There's like 12. There's quite a few. There's quite
That's
a
a
few.
lot of classes.
There's a lot of classes. Mind you, I think some of them are expansion, of course. But so the idea is you go into the thing, and you have to clear the dungeon, and you get an action, and you can choose to burn some cards have like a burn effect, which means you don't get to redraw them.
Right. You exile them.
Right. And every time you run out of cards in your deck, you rest. You have to take a turn, shuffle everything back in, and then you burn a card. So you lose a
Gotcha.
card. So if you run out of cards to like
You obviously can't play.
you lose the game. Yeah, because your character's like tired and they've overexerted themselves is what's going on.
I like that.
It's a fun game. I really enjoyed
And
it.
that can be
It's
played
like a-
solo.
Yes.
It's like a contained campaign that doesn't need a DM to run.
Right.
That's fun. How,
yeah.
Does anyone know how expensive it is?
I don't
Free?
That's not bad.
It's
Yeah.
an equivalent to like Betrayal. I know I was looking at the
Yeah.
store and I was like, Betrayal, third
It's a-
edition, or this.
So my friends have bought both the physical and the digital version. It's a big box. But I think they got the one with like expansions as well.
It's about
Gen
the
1
size of
Gloomhaven, it looks like Czechoslovakian, is $400. But the standard one's about 25 for
Ain't
a
no one
starter
playing
kit.
Gen 1.
Okay.
Yeah, a starter kit is about 25 at Target.
Okay.
Okay,
it's not
so-
bad.
yeah.
I think I've only seen the expansion box. Then
That's actually pretty good for like because there's a lot to it as well. Like
Yeah, it looks like there's the pricing depends on the generation, but it's $25 to $60.
okay.
It's not bad.
And then obviously there's some expansions, stuff like that.
This is a hard episode for me. I'm gonna just
Because you always have like Perry.
I always had like my brother, my family. I always had like a play group. Like just the other day, we were cooking dinner and I was playing chess with my mom. Like it was like I had somebody to play against.
Oh, he's in there. He's like stirring the pot, not even looking at the board.
Well, I was commenting because
Knight to G6.
well, I was commenting to my mom like we have very distinct play styles. I tend to be very aggressive and try and like force things where she sets up traps and like forces you to make mistakes. So it's the two of us trying to outplay each other with our own thing, and then it gets to the point I wound up winning, but not by a lot.
I'm like the kind of person that, what's his name from Shrek 1? The Farquaad.
Farquaad?
I'm a Farquaad. I will send a knight out to trade it for a bishop.
Yep.
And I'll just be like, some of you may die, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. And I just I lose all my pieces, and then sometimes I come back.
Mhm.
Other times I do not win.
my goal is promote pawns as quickly as possible.
Okay.
People never see it
Some
coming.
people call that a Ponzi scheme.
So, I'm definitely like I play very aggressive, and then I switch hard. Like I basically try and get as much early advantage, and I switch hard into okay. Now I'm controlling the board. I've taken out some key pieces. I can now control your movement. And then my mom is just throughout the whole game does this slow grindy like okay, I'm setting up this trap. I'm like okay, I'm like all right.
Oh well, going off of that, yeah, solo board games. I mean, it's definitely nice to have friends, so you have people to play with. But if you don't, I mean, they're obviously a great option out there so that you can still play board games. And I mean, I have friends, I have regular play groups and stuff, but I still play some of the games solo,
Right.
just to work on my own like strategy, thought process, planning everything out. And because in the nicest way, in some games, people don't work as efficiently as I think they should. So it's a lot better when I can just control multiple pawns at once, which leads me to want to bring up a game that doesn't have an official solo mode, but you can still play solo player just by controlling multiple characters at once, and that's going to be Pandemic.
Yes, Pandemic is great.
Yeah, it's a great game, and I feel like some people it's players versus game, so it's co-op. But a lot of people who play it, I feel like, don't realize that fact, and they're kind of competing against each other still. And there's no real communication anymore, which kind of deteriorates the game and the ability to win.
Right.
So I've played that game solo, just controlling 2 or 3 people.
Right.
Just because when I play with other people, they don't do what they probably should.
How
They're
dare you
like,
not-
I'm going to go to Hong Kong. I'm like, don't. That will not help us.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in Hong Kong. I'm like,
Me every time we play Betrayal, and I
Yes.
flip every tile.
Right. Yeah, I remember
walking
like
down a hallway.
it was the
I've
first
gotten
time
close.
It was the first time you had played Betrayal, and you just booked it. 'Cause you have what sucks is you and Perry have the same idea. I want to see every room, and
I want to see every room.
And what's funny
What
is-
if we need to know a certain room?
what's funny is both you and Perry picked the same character for that in because they have the most movement, Peter Akamoto. So they just beeline it for every room.
The amount of times you said Peter Akamoto.
Peter Akamoto.
on
I'll
the
say it again.
podcast is like astounding, and the fact that it's always in this conversation.
Because
Betrayal
like
comes
running.
up, Ryan runs down the hallway. You bring up Perry playing Peter Akamoto every time.
because unfortunately it's the only way I can play the game.
Peter Okamoto?
Yeah,
Has Betrayal come up like that often?
Yeah,
It's enough.
yeah. It's a core.
every
It's one of those things where
recording
it gets
session.
played enough, like once a month or more, that like it's fresh on my mind.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's some
Still
great-
haven't gotten every tile though.
There's
I've
also
gotten close.
There's also some great memories from it. Just like as I've said, you have people go through the whole house. And you're like, come on, guys, please stop triggering things.
Well, the worst thing was whenever you hit like one of those slow traps where it's like, oh, you have to roll to leave, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, I'm already hurt because I hit every booby trap on the way here. So
I'm stuck in the attic for the rest of my life.
yeah, there was one time I ended up being the bad guy, and I was stuck on the other side of a ravine, and I couldn't get past it, and so they just won because I was stuck there because I didn't have enough fortitude to like survive.
They basically just stand there and like, nee.
Yeah, and then they had a dog.
Oh
It's like
yeah.
Scooby Doo.
Oh,
they had
yeah,
a
the
dog on
pets.
the other side of the trench. They had a dog guarding the trench from me.
I would have gotten away with it too had it not been for.
Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, speaking of being trapped and needing to get out, the escape room game, which we already discussed, is questionable as a board game, but they are single player compatible. A lot of them. I'd say the ones that are only 1 through are better. Like Neil Patrick Harris's Box 1. You can play that one by yourself and just kind of run it. And they're great. They kind of like test your own strategy and thinking and everything. Because if you've ever done an escape room, sometimes you finish your puzzle and you're waiting for someone else to finish their puzzle.
Yeah.
They're so far in, you can't join in, but they're not done. So you're just kind of in waiting mode for the next thing to open up.
It's like, man, I love sitting here twiddling my thumbs.
Yeah, like I paid $25 for this.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, so when you play like the box versions in a game, they're just a bunch of puzzles that have a story attached to them. So
Our play group can't do that because it devolves into yelling. Very okay.
Oh, Hall of the Mountain King.
I tangent. Okay, we were playing a game of we had drafted Kaldheim. Ryan had bought a set.
Kaldheim is a Magic the
set.
Gathering
Yeah.
set. to
So we
clarify.
drafted the Magic set.
cardboard go burr.
Everybody was, setting it here. We just had a big player match. And Jamie, our friend, goes to make a play. Ryan has I was like, you were responding or had a question. And, both were trying to ask how this resolves. And Perry, messing with Jamie's Google, asked us to play Ride of the Valkyries. Instead of playing Ride of the Valkyries, it plays in Hall of the Mountain King. So it goes dun, 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 dun. Very quiet. Then it gets louder and louder while Jamie and Ryan are yelling at each other.
I'm having like a back and forth with Jamie because we're having a resolution war where it's like trying to figure out who's doing what and what's going to happen at the end of it. And the music is progressively getting louder.
Perry's cackling in maniac because he loves the chaos. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And poor Tyler's just like, why are we yelling?
But yeah, so if I may, I've played a game before very similar to the game of the day.
Terraforming Mars.
So it's Scythe, and Scythe is a game. It's like an
Terraforming
alternate
farmland.
Well, yeah. So it's an alternate reality. I want to say.
Is this the mecha farming mecha one?
it's-
Yeah.
it's
Okay, I've seen this one.
almost World War II esque, but with mecha units.
It's like Diesel Punk.
Yeah, it's like Diesel Punk.
Yeah.
And so when that game, you also have the multiple resources. I want to say that one only has 5, including people.
Gotcha.
But as opposed to Terraforming Mars, where you're building like a card economy, you're actually controlling territory in Scythe, and that one has an amazing first player or a single player
ability
way
or
to play.
mode.
Yeah, and it just works really well because that one's a little more territorial. You have to defend your borders. You have to know where you're going.
Oh, so you fight other players, right?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. And so if you really need that stone mine, you might
have
put
to
some units there to make
claim
sure the
it.
stone mine stays.
How does that work in the solo mode? Does it run AI opponent or generate
Yes, so
AI
the AI
opponents?
is going to have different movements based off of what is happening.
Right.
Similar to Wingspan, it has a little cue card that's going to tell you what's going on.
right?
But it's a great game. That one's not too expensive. I want to say it's closer to $70 because it's a bigger box with little figurines.
There's a lot more. Yeah. Okay.
Closer to $70.
Yeah, well, it's definitely not budget.
But it's like if
but compared to my XCOM game, which was 200.
right. It's one of those things it's a little bit higher end when you want it. It's it's an experience in of itself. You grab it. It's this is
And
my
it's great with friends because once people know how to play or you can teach others, it's just pick up and go.
Oh, I love those games. The first one's a little rough, but afterwards, people when they get it, you're like, all right, cool. Now we get into the
you already see the
nitty gritty.
You can already plan ahead. You kind of know what you're building towards,
Right.
And you just go because when you're in the blind, you don't really know where you're supposed to be going, and that can be rough. Especially when you're trying to future plan, and it could really mess up your whole game if you start building one way and you actually need to be over here.
Right. So you went into one resource and it's oh, well, I need this resource that's over here or this mine that's over here or something.
Yeah.
I got you.
But I don't know. That's another one that Q has.
Yeah.
So he showed me a lot of these kinds of games.
That sounds like Q. I played Q introduced me to a game. I can't remember what it was. I think it was back when it was Jordan's.
Okay.
I played Smash Up.
I don't think he showed me that one.
Smash Up, I don't know if you know the concepts, but they're decks.
Okay.
And you take So like one's gnomes and one's ninjas, and you
So Jumpstart.
yeah, it's a lot like Jumpstart. I think it's actually made by Richard Garfield. Now that I think about it,
Why do you like this?
I like
Everything
'cause
comes back to
the
magic.
game I was going to talk about was made by Richard Garfield and King of Tokyo. It's King of Tokyo or Magic. I'm a simple creature. All right.
Can you play King of Tokyo alone?
There is a mode of King of Tokyo, or not a mode, but
I just bought it.
yes, it's like it's in the same like game line.
It's in the same realm. It's
Yeah.
the same genre.
Same IP.
Universe, yeah.
Monster
IP.
Island.
It's called King of Monster Island. Yeah. So what it does is the idea of you are a group of monsters fighting a extra dimensional one who's coming to Earth, and the idea is you have to defeat him before he takes out all of your monsters or assembles like these crystal like spires.
It's Space Godzilla.
It's Space Godzilla, yes. So what's fun about this is it can be played with 1 to 5 players. The monster, the bad guy boss, has like pre-generated moves depending on dice that you drop into this little volcano.
Okay.
And then he'll move and then do things. And then he has a card as he gets powered up, he does more things. And in the solo mode, so like what I did is I just played 5 monsters. And I'm like, I just controlled all 5 monsters. It's a pain. I lost every time, by the way. I'm gonna love with you. It's very difficult. And so the idea is you just work. You've got to work together because you've got to predict where the boss is going to move.
Right.
He's got minions. You got to stop from doing things. So what I would usually do is I have
Are
like
the minions made of crystals?
there are minions. There are crystal minions who
I'm in love.
they are little bastards. I don't know if
I'm
I'm
even
allowed.
more in love.
I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss on the podcast, but you can bleep me out. That's one time I will. I hate those things. I had one game in the solo mode where it spawned 2 of the crystal minions. The boss moved in there,
Okay.
activated the crystal minions, created 2, and then one of the dice was also a crystal. So in the first turn, it built a spire. And if you build 3 spires, you just lose the game.
Oh, fun.
I was like, okay, I'm fine. This is
Can
great.
you destroy any spires? Or
You
once they're
cannot
built?
destroy spires. Once a spire is built, it's there. You can only kill minions, take out his dice so he doesn't get to like use them. So if you get to his dice before he moves into that area,
Right.
or take out the boss.
Okay. And you
it's-
said this is single player? You can play it single player?
You can play it single player, so it's single to 5. Like I
Five's
said,
such a weird number.
it's because there's like 6 spots on the board and no monster can start in the boss's area.
Okay.
But you could probably play with more because listen, I have
Everyone
like
get real chummy.
I have 20. The thing. So what makes it really difficult is for every monster you have, the boss gets another movement phase. He gets to act between every monster's turn.
Okay. Gotcha.
But yeah, it's one of those you can play 1 monster or you can play 5 solo. So it's really fun. I liked it.
I didn't know the King of Tokyo lore was so deep.
There's
it goes hard.
yeah. There's like
one.
There's the costumes. There's the baby Gigasaur.
yeah, baby Gigasaur. Yeah, I like listen. I've got like a leather like my carrying case that's got like I think all 25 of the main game monsters.
25.
There are 25 main game monsters.
There's 32
Main game.
promos.
There's 32 promos, and I'm probably wrong on that number. We're getting 4
You're
more.
wrong.
Yep, all the time. We're
At least
getting
once a day.
we're getting another version called King of Tokyo Origins, which is like a smaller box version with 4 new monsters in it.
What?
I want Mecha Hamster from that. I'm buying Mecha
I can
Hamster.
play Vinny?
Yeah,
I can play
He's
Vincent?
a hamster robot, or he's a hamster mech.
Love that.
Yeah,
Wait, isn't that just Hammy from Overwatch 2 or whatever?
kinda.
His
Yeah,
name is not Hammy.
What's his name?
I didn't agree to this.
what is his name?
I thought it was Hammy.
Not Hammy.
Is it not Hammy? Okay, someone look
I was
it
gonna
up.
say Winston, but
No,
they
Winston
just-
is
that's the
not
monkey
the
gorilla.
hamster. That's quite possibly the biggest animal change from hamster to gorilla.
They're both from the lunar colony, but
You are correct.
That's
They're
why-
both from that experiment.
Like,
yeah, I know. I'm like, I don't know.
Wrecking Ball.
Oh,
oh.
Okay, but
That's
what's
a
his
basic
name? That's it.
Hammond.
Hammond. Okay, see, I wasn't
That's
too
his
far
Wrecking
off.
Ball mech.
close enough.
Wrecking Ball is the mech, yes.
Yeah, the Wrecking Ball mech that Hammond pilots.
But yeah.
Overwatch logo's hard, apparently.
It does for the hamsters. It does for the animals specifically. I feel like the humans they kind of neglect, and then the animals are like, "Oh, it's this in-depth research like facility.
Yeah.
They did these projects. Winston was able to do this by age 5. It's like okay, and then Tracer, oh, she was in a plane wreck or something. I don't know.
One is, he's a cowboy with a robot arm.
Yeah,
He was
done.
once.
What
He
else
was.
do
she
you
worked
need?
with him as a cowboy.
Yeah. To be fair, that's all I need. I'm like, cool, cowboy. I don't even care about the rest of the character. Sign me up, mech.
Ninja died,
Wait till
but
he hears
came
about the
back.
cowboy skins.
Yep.
Assassin died, but came back as
Yeah.
Reaper. Like it's just reused.
I'm just like, okay, it works.
Moria died, but came back.
Humans die. It goes hard.
So
It goes hard. Oh, I know one. Marvel Champions. This is one I want to buy more expansions for because I only have 2.
this is the deck building one.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's in the Marvel universe, not cinematic universe, to clarify, just the Marvel universe. They don't have like a board game in the middle of a movie.
Right.
What's the point?
Well, it's so it's going to use the same characters and same villains. And what's going to
Right.
happen is you're going to have a deck that is a certain hero. And so there are some generic cards that you can shift around. I've kind of always left them alone. I think they're built fine.
Okay.
But say like Iron Man, you're going to want to assemble parts of his suit. So like if you get his blaster on his hand, it may give you an extra attack. If you get a helmet, it may give you extra defense.
Right.
If you get the arc reactor, you get extra turns, like extra things to do on your turn.
It gives you more like actions.
Whereas like if you play someone like She-Hulk, which is my personal favorite, it's either She-Hulk or Black Panther. I really like.
Those are your 2.
But She-Hulk, you are just really good at fighting. Like you can fight multiple people. You get lots of little allies to protect you.
Which works for like She-Hulk, like in the comics too. Like
Right.
yeah,
And so, but more importantly, in the context of today's episode, you can play it alone because it's a players versus boss. It's players versus game, right?
Got you.
And so you can either pilot multiple players or you can have the difficulty set to a 1 player.
So it's like a solo because it's a solo fight.
Right,
Okay.
because the difficulty changes based on how many people are at the table. Because if a bunch of people are beating up on like Ultron, he's just not going to have a good day. If he's just being mercilessly pounded into the ground,
right.
But it's just really fun. There's lots of expansions. So like if you like the Marvel Cinematic Universe or the Marvel comics, if there's a particular hero you like, they've most likely already published it.
They have a
Because
amount.
this has been in production at least since 2019.
Oh wow. Okay.
And it's just been going. I think it's kind of fallen off lately now that the movies are kind of done.
A board game that I really like and haven't been able to play it a lot because I don't have friends, but is Stardew Valley, the board game. It's such a big game. I had to try to watch a video to figure out what's going on because
As you do.
there are so many components to it and there's so much to do, and it for like every extra person you have, it's like another 45 minutes to the game time.
It's fine.
Oh my
Who
gosh.
prints that on a box?
Well, it
Like,
doesn't
it's
say
a
that on the
40-minute
box.
game for 1 player. Every other player has another 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's in
Yeah,
the fine print. It's actually in the instruction manual. They don't put that on the
No, it was
box.
in the video that they said it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, by the way," and like I tried to set it up with like my parents to like test it out first, didn't go well.
So it's kind of like a game of Risk. Then it just
Yeah,
keeps going.
that sounds
Yeah.
like
Risk,
risk.
but as a farming sim.
That's how I play Risk.
It's like the video game where you have to like complete the bundles,
Okay.
and like you have like
And those are like collections of certain items, right?
yeah, like you have to get like so many logs or so many like mushrooms. I think is one of them.
Is it a quantity or like a different types of quality, like different
Um,
species, maybe
different
Oh.
species.
Okay.
More than
Species.
species. More than like
genus?
I'm sure there are some where you like you have to collect so many wood
I was going to say
to
that.
like do the upgrades. But like it's such a long game, but I love it. I just
I
love
didn't get to
Stardew,
play
though.
with you before we went on break, and I was meaning to, if you recall.
Correct.
But I just stuff kept coming up and up and up, and I even nowadays I still don't get to really come.
That's valid, but like anytime I
He
still
really
have
doesn't
it,
get to come.
Yeah.
have yet to play.
Have you had to play?
Like with
We'll
more
get
people than me.
We'll get a 4-person game going of like a 3-hour campaign.
Oh, heck.
You're gonna have the person who runs the thing like, I need y'all guys to go home. Y'all were scheduled to leave like 30 minutes
I
ago.
have keys to everything. I can be wherever I want.
I will say, the game sounds like the video game.
It is.
I have not played Stardew Valley long enough, but like, there's teleportation crystals,
yes.
There's
sword
there-
upgrades, slime. Like, you can farm dinosaurs. Like,
Yes.
I'm out here thinking it's just like a farming / dating sim in pixels.
Just wait till you get to year 3.
And he keeps adding more. Is the issue. It is one guy that
I am
makes this.
shocked.
He's
Yeah.
adding like 3 more big festival or 3 mini festivals, another big festival, like another 100 lines of dialogue.
Do
For
you
an
know
update he didn't
if
wanna make.
they're gonna update the board game to reflect this? Do you know if there's any expansions?
Not that I know of. Right now, I think it's just the base game. He's very focused on updating the actual game and working on his new one.
Did he develop
That's
the board game directly
I think he
or helped on it?
helped on it.
He like
Contributed?
Somebody
Yeah.
said, I want this as a board game because I don't like video games. And he's like, I'll help you.
Okay.
Well, anything to sell it, right?
I'm finding
Yeah.
out
Just sell
so
the IP.
I'm
It's like
finding
a
out
$60 game though.
I'm finding out so much more about Stardew Valley because I thought it was just a farming sim.
Exactly.
It's so much better.
No, it's a fishing sim. I always choose the fishing place.
Me too.
Well, see,
I love
I
fishing.
thought it was like the off-key dating sim because you got to like become friends with different people
Well,
and
yeah.
like
The-
I forgot which ones you
rebuff
like,
everyone.
and
It's a
that's what everyone always told me about. And I'm like, well, you can get dinosaur eggs. I mean, you can get dinosaurs. Like,
I think
you
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 have
can
a child.
teleport.
you can have 2 children and then dove them.
What does dove mean?
So you like put a prismatic shard, I think, into a statue and then they die. Basically.
What? What?
Haunt
Blood
you.
for the blood god.
Yeah, basically. And then like you
It's
can
gonna be a good harvest.
you can also like wipe people's memory casually.
Also,
I feel like he's slowly converted this into like a horror story. Like this is SCP.
Honestly.
Oh, they show up. Don't worry.
So it's that thing of like, Minecraft, you're like, haha, and then you realize you're the bad guy by the end of Minecraft.
Yeah. All the
Yeah.
Endermen are just genuinely afraid of you.
Yeah.
I
just like you can play like video games one player. There's a lot of board games you can play one player just by playing them online. If there's a digital version, you can usually play against an AI, which while isn't fully solo because there's like other player
Weird
interactions
loophole.
in the game. It is solo because there's nobody else with you, and it's
Yeah,
not even like
Terraforming Mars, you can set it up that
online,
way. Instead
yeah.
of playing Mechanica or whatever the auto thing would be,
Right.
You can actually just set up AI and they'll take their own
Yeah.
actions. It's really nice.
Wingspan,
It helps you learn the game.
set
Wingspan
their
lets you do
difficulty.
the same thing too.
Settlers of Catan has an online
Really?
version.
I love Settlers.
I don't know if it's the canon on Steam one, but I have played one that is solo player with AI, so you could add bots. I don't
I
want.
haven't played that one in
Yeah.
so long. It's such a good game.
Yeah, there's also an unofficial rule set for solo player
We're
that fans
talking-
have made.
We're talking about all these like crazy boxes. What about Ascension?
Oh, Ascension is a great game. So Ascension, from my understanding of how I found it, one man took 2 decks of playing cards and said, I want to play something with this. I don't want to invest in a cheap $70 game, air quotes.
Yeah.
Solitaire is boring and for old people.
Yeah, so
Hey.
what he does, you take one deck and you separate the suits into the 4 suits, and those are 4 distinct classes.
Right.
And they'll have a special ability associated to them. So I believe it's the Paladin, they can choose to heal off of damage, if I remember correctly. It's got a whole rule set.
We played it once, and but that was a very long time.
It's
ago.
very well balanced, and the basic premise of it is it's a resource game because the other deck you're going to have to clear the dungeon, and different royalty will be different bosses along the way, and so to defeat a monster, your team, your dungeon dwellers, adventurers have to play a card of equal or higher value to clear it, and if a monster doesn't get cleared, it gets assigned to a player. And then they take damage, and then they slowly dwindle away.
Yeah.
And so what's going to happen is it's a 2-player game, but it can be played with 4 if you have another deck. Because what's going to
Or
happen?
one.
You can play it alone. Correct.
Just to clarify, we started with 2. It can go to 1.
It can go to 1, and so if you take a black suit, you'll take a red suit to be your health pool. And you're going to shuffle in wounds as you take damage.
Yep.
So wounds, unless you're certain classes, I think it's the barbarian, cannot be played as
Right.
damage.
They're
they have
basically
to be
dead
discarded.
cards.
Yeah. But it's 2 decks. At the current prices of cards, maybe $4, depending on how cheap
If
you can
you
get
for
your
some
cards.
reason don't have a deck of cards.
Yeah.
Right. And the rule set, it's a YouTube video online. It's called Ascension Act 1. There's 2 other acts, Acts 2 and Act 3. I didn't like them as much personally. I think Act 1 was simple because the other ones added additional rules,
yeah.
creatures, stuff like that to keep the game fresh. And while I think it's valid and I don't discredit him for doing so, especially because he did it for free, I just think Act 1 is done so well. The balance is so good. Most games, if you're going to win, are by the skin of your teeth.
You're finding out what I found out. Yeah.
You guys are the worst.
I was like, what is Brandon fiddling with over there? I
Yeah.
can fiddle with mine.
The
It
reason
just came
Disassembling
out.
the nice mics that have been provided to us.
You've met my brother. He's constantly mechanically disassembling everything. It runs in the family. I'm not as bad. for sure. I can tell you, I'm not as bad.
I'm
But
just a sheep. I saw Brandon fiddling with the mic, and I'm like, what does this do?
I can't do it.
I can't do
Twist
it.
harder.
I also can't do it because mine's still attached.
Right, imagine mounting it.
I don't know. I'm a little cool right now.
I have one that's a little like more simple on the thing. I know I don't want to just take up all the time, but it's the choose your own adventure ones. They've only done 2.
Oh, we were supposed to talk about this.
We were
before,
supposed to
and
talk
I
about this.
forgot.
Don't worry about it.
Oh.
It's fine. But you can play it solo. You can play it with friends. It doesn't really matter. But they're a lot like the books.
They're literally like
They
the
are
books.
they are just like the books. You read the thing. And it's like to do action X. Pick this number card.
Oh, so it's going to run very similar to how the Fallout board game runs, where
Yes,
it's like
yep.
you're going to make a decision, and that's going to alter
Yep.
your
But you're
course of
following
history.
a story
Right.
Yep.
more.
My one
detailed ones.
my one complaint about the game is there's not really like a fail state. It's just like, oh, you failed, go back to the beginning of the chapter, or go back one.
Right.
I introduced
Which is how I feel most people played those books anyway.
right.
I don't want to
Absolutely.
die. No,
So-
I wanted to stop reading.
So
So
I
actively
can't
made bad
read.
decisions.
so what I did is I just like for like solo play, I get 3 tries in a chapter, and if I die, so I'll go back on a death, and if I die all 3 times in the chapter, I just start the whole chapter over, and that's how I did.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's actually similar to what I do. I do 3 strikes of going back because just
And
undo
for like
is no fun.
multiple people, I do the number of people plus 1.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
Right, because the idea is like, so if like it messes up on yours, it's like, okay, well then we it's still a chance to go.
And you can get this just in bookstores, or
Target.
It was at
is it a
Walmart.
book, or is it like a?
It's a little box
It's like
game.
Okay.
a stack of cards.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you
With-
get the chapter cards, which are like the events and stuff. There are, I can't remember what they're called, clues and. No, yeah, just clues because clues and items are in the same deck.
Are they self-contained stories, or do they?
They are.
There are there's 2 or 3.
I know 2 for sure. One is a space themed one. It's like you're like a crew defending against an alien invader. The other one is you're a paranormal like a
going into a haunted house type
Yep.
situation.
Yep.
There might be a vampire one too. Or There might just be cover art.
they just made fan art of their own
I,
game.
I thought I saw one with a vampire on it. But
It's one of those. They're okay. They're not. It's not like the craziest thing, but it is a good like very simple, no high stakes. You just kind of like play. Like I had it set up on my desk, and I'd play like a chapter a day.
I mean, there's another simple game. I believe I mentioned before, Buggo. It's just a tile matching game. It's not delectable.
Oh,
Sadly, no. It's just a bunch of like cards, and you flip it. It's like a matching game. You flip it, you find the bug, and you just match them in pairs.
Oh,
and games like that, you can obviously play competitively.
Yep.
But also you can just
yeah, I'm
play
a Buggo
games
champ.
I mean, yeah, you can just play games like that solo.
Yeah.
And just for fun, mix it up and just start matching stuff.
If
Yeah.
I'm the only person that plays Buggo, I am the champ. Yeah,
I mean,
Hey,
true.
the best way to win every game,
yeah.
have
play it by yourself.
See, that's why I'm the best at Stardew Valley. I mean,
And that's the thing about war games, right? Right. The best way to win is to not play it.
Yeah, that's how I've
Don't
been.
buy Buggo.
Yeah.
Not sponsored by Buggo.
That's me with Warhammer. At the moment, I'm like, I'm winning because I'm not playing the game right now.
Right.
I get to look at all that money I spent and just be like, they're pretty painted. Not going to put them on the board anytime soon. As our time winds down, let's tuck away the game pieces after getting into quite a few solo player games.
Next time, tune in as we shuffle through our thoughts on the directions Wizards is taking Magic and what we think of the coming controversial changes.